Hey everyone, and welcome to the third podcast. Did you like my intro? I want to experiment a little bit more with this intro stuff, but I did think of making my own custom one. I'm still not very musically skilled yet, but I think one day I can make my own. Perhaps I can make a shitty one to start off. But yeah, for now we'll keep this one. Yeah, happy Thursday to all of you listening on Thursday. um what are the topics for today? Let me check. Fuck, I had it written down somewhere. All right, okay. So there's three topics. One of them is going to be conspiracy theories. The second one is hobbies. Not my hobbies, but just like hobbies in general. And, or hobbies and why are some socially acceptable and others aren't. That's what I mean. And number 3 is a question from one of our viewers. Sorry, I'm having some water here. I got a new bottle. It's a very fancy bottle. Like a flask. Okay, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I'm experimenting a little bit with the podcast, Like this is my third edition. There's still a lot of things that I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know how to do, or I don't know like what kind of format I want to go with, So there will be a lot of variations in the upcoming podcasts. But this is the third one, so that means that we will have one more. And then on the fifth one, I'll be having a guest over. And I'm not going to spoil the guest right now. But yeah, it will be interesting. The first guest. We have about 5 more guests lined up, so that could be quite interesting. One thing I decided to change was the alarm system. Because it is a bit distracting and it stresses me out a little bit to have this, time limit. I will just keep track of time to get an idea of how long I'm talking about a subject. But yeah, no hard limits there, and I just don't want an alarm. It's kind of like not natural. But yeah, let's see what to talk about. Conspiracy theories. Yeah, I got this idea in my head because the other day I was going on my daily, or not daily, but every once in a while, every other day, I go on a stroll outside because I'll go crazy if I stay at home all the time, and I was just walking down the street, and I think I read some article that maybe triggered this, but I remembered. I remember the time, like a specific incident that happened when I was in Sweden. So I used to live in this student dorm, which was like located on the top of a hill, close to my university. And this was in Gothenburg, Sweden. I was there for 3 years. If people don't know this. So I was living there, and I remember it was quite late. It was maybe around 10 in the evening, or 9. I think maybe I'm not sure. I think it was like 10:30. This is important to mention. Yeah, I would say 10 or 10:30. And I was walking home, I guess from some party or some gathering with friends, and I was coming back home. And so I'm going up this slope that leads to my dorm, and I see this older lady with a dog. And at the time I had like my dog was still alive, Vega. She was still she was old, but she was still alive. And she has a very peculiar face and a very particular, look to her. So I saw this lady with her dog, and I thought, fuck, that looks a lot like my dog, which is really rare. And Yeah, looking back, I think someone told me that maybe that was kind of a creepy question, but I try to make it not creepy. I just went up to the old lady and I said, yeah, in Swedish, uh, "Hi, sorry, do you speak English?" And she said, "Yeah, yeah, I speak English, whatever." And I said, um, "I know this is a strange question, but I have a dog that looks a lot like yours." And it's rare to find a dog that looks like yours, that looks like mine. So could I take a photo of this dog just to send to my family? So that was my intention, right? Kind of weird to do it, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting, and she said no. I was a little taken aback, but I understood and said, okay, yeah, sorry, but yeah. And then she immediately asked, but why do you want a photo? And again, I explained, yeah, because she looks like my dog. She looks like my dog. I want a photo of that. And then she said, oh, okay, fine, you can take a photo. So I took the photo, and she started asking questions like, oh, so what will you do with the photo? And I said, yeah, I will. I'll just send it to my family. I think it would be interesting. Ah, yeah, but you will send it through Facebook, or? I said, no, like WhatsApp, I think. And then I think that was the trigger to the rest of the conversation. I'm not sure, but I think that was the starting point. But basically, she started talking about data usage, and how people are controlling us and so on. And I agreed, yeah, the information is being used, yeah, that's true. But I said at the time, it doesn't really, like, yeah, I understand it's happening. Yeah, it sucks, but, And then, I don't know what happened, dude. I really don't know what happened, but we spent like 2 or 3 hours talking about conspiracy theories. And when I say we were talking about conspiracy theories, I mean she was talking about conspiracy theories, Like, it's usually like this. People who are into the topic, they just go nuts on it, Like, yeah. And the thing is, I'm really bad at dismissing people after a certain amount of time. Like, for example, if someone approaches me on the street and I really don't want to talk to them, let's say that they're trying to give out pamphlets for, I don't know, for Jesus Christ or something like this, I would say no, and I keep walking away. That's fine. But the problem is when someone approaches me and starts making conversation, like 1 minute in, I can't do it. I can't tell them fuck off, I usually use some how do you call this? I use some pre-built sentence, to kind of give me an excuse to leave, like, oh, I really need to go, like this, I really need to go, I have some stuff to do, whatever. But some people, they just have this aura of it's not pushiness, but somehow they can keep you in place, unless you really push them away. Like, if you really push them, like, no, I want to go home now, I can't be here anymore, no, I'm leaving, then you can't leave. And I guess I'm too weak with this. Like, I've improved this over time, but back then I wasn't very good at that. And yeah, so I stayed like 2 or 3 hours talking about it. And the thing is, when you talk to people about conspiracy theories, the common response that people give is that, oh yeah, those people are retarded, they're really stupid. I think the interesting thing is that actually a lot of, I'm not going to say intelligent people, right? Because intelligence is such an umbrella term. But I would say, like, the people that I've talked to who believe in a lot of conspiracy theories, sorry about that noise. They can actually be quite logical. I would say it's more about paranoia, It's about trust issues. So typically, these people, like people who believe in a lot of conspiracy theories, they base themselves off of a premise, which is which is, in my opinion, complete paranoia, you know? Like they start off with some idea that there's an entity that wishes to harm everyone, and it doesn't seem reasonable. It doesn't seem like this entity will gain a lot of stuff from it. So in my opinion, I was thinking about this today, and I think like if you want to look at a conspiracy theory and you want to try to reason out if it's actually true or not, first you need to see like, okay, could this be physically done? Like, is this physically possible? Number one. Number two, does anyone benefit from this? Number three, do you really believe that people would be willing to go through it? You know, like you can go through with it. I mean, like people can benefit from something, but that doesn't mean that the net profit of it would be worth it. You know, like the idea can be so far-fetched that just building all of this, constructing all of this, would be a waste of time. So in my opinion, these three points are really important to bear in mind when you look at a conspiracy theory. There's probably more points. These are the ones that came to my head, you know? And I think they kind of help you with, you know, reasoning whether or not these things make sense or not. So I thought I would bring up a list of conspiracy theories that I found, just to comment a little bit on them. I think they're interesting, and I think, you know, people would be interested in hearing about this. I would also really like to hear any comments later. If you have some comments on this, if you know more than I do, I love hearing about this. I'm not that educated in this matter. So I only know like a very superficial coverage of each of these conspiracy theories. It's stuff that I saw online or from podcasts. So yeah, there's a bunch of these. We got chemtrails, the Twin Towers, moon landing, JFK assassination. I don't know what they mean by that. I have to check that one out. Yeah, so Twin Towers like 9/11, yeah. Got Area 51 and aliens. This one was cool. Paul McCartney is dead. Jesus and Mary Magdalene were married. CIA and AIDS, and the reptilian elite. So yeah, that's a handful there. I don't know with which one to start, but let's go through a bunch of these. We don't have to waste too much time on it, but I think it would be curious. So chemtrails really, it really stands out to me because this woman, this old lady, she talked about chemtrails a lot. And back then I didn't understand. Like the two topics she was talking about the most were the Illuminati and chemtrails. So basically she went on a rampant about how the Illuminati are such an advanced organization that is manipulating everything and controlling everything. And everything we do is somehow affected by the Illuminati and so on. Now, is this possible? I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's some rich, powerful people out there pulling a lot of strings. Yeah, for sure. I really do believe that. Is there a secret organization that wants to control the entire world and everything we do? I find it hard to believe. I do think like a lot of the economic stuff and a lot of policies are manipulated by very powerful rich people because, you know, they can actually make profit from that. But just to have some kind of control over people in general without profiting, I'm not sure if that's true. I really am not sure. But yeah, I could accept that maybe the Illuminati exists. Who knows? I don't know enough about Illuminati, honestly, just from watching movies. But chemtrails was the most interesting one to me. Like, I didn't know what they were. And if you don't know what they are, basically, from what I understood, is like, so what they say is that a lot of governments are putting some special chemicals in jet fuel, or any kind of pollutant that they have in the air, in the atmosphere, and these things, which are called chemtrails, they're like the trail of a jet plane, you know. These components, they can be like, we're inhaling them, and they can be used for mind control. And wait, let me just read, because they talked about this before. They can be used for mind control and health control and stuff like this. Wait, fuck, where was this? Fuck, sorry guys. Wait, let me just check this out. Yeah, so mind control, weather control, reduction of life expectancy, sterilization, and so on. There's a lot of allegations here. And I don't know, I don't know where this came from, you know? And the thing is, there's no evidence at all to back this up. Oh, yeah, that's another point for the conspiracy theories. Is there evidence? Is there hard evidence on the matter? Are there questionable things happening? From what I've seen, there is no evidence pointing towards this. But of course, conspiracy theorists will always say, "Oh yeah, but every study was probably manipulated by the Illuminati or some shit." You know, there's always an excuse, but but there's no palpable evidence that chemtrails exist. But she did. This old lady really, she really went all the way with this. You know, I don't know. I really don't believe that it would happen. I don't see how, mind control would be happening through these chemicals, and I don't see any organized movement of people or control of behavior. I don't understand why they would sterilize people when you need your population to maintain some level of fertility, especially in Western society. It's not fertility the word that I mean. Like, there are less children being born. That's what I mean. Than people dying, right? I think most populations are in decline. I'm not sure about the US, but I think in Europe it's happening a lot. I don't know, it just sounds like bullshit. I'm going to dismiss that one. Then you got the Twin Towers. The Twin Towers, that's a really interesting one. 9/11. Was 9/11 an inside job? I don't know if people will judge me for this, but I actually do believe it could very well be an inside job. And I think this is it's not an edgy thing to say. I think a lot of people do believe this. There is evidence pointing towards the fact that it could have been assisted from inside, like bombs were planted prior to the actual thing happening. And there's like a bunch of other details regarding like how slow they were to take action. Like, there was some delay between the crash on the towers and in the Pentagon, and I don't know, I remember reading about the fact that they actually predicted an attack on the Pentagon or something, and they didn't react. I don't know. I have to reread this stuff, but I do think it's possible, just to get an excuse. Like, for me, I can see the economic incentive behind it. There is evidence pointing towards it maybe being possible. The entity behind it is clear, right? It would be, I guess, the U.S. government. I forgot what the fourth point was, but yeah, I think it is possible, and I do believe it did happen. Actually, I do think that it was planned somehow. I would have to read up more on this. Like, when I was I think when I was 18 or 19, I was really into this topic, but I've forgotten everything. I was watching so many things. Um, I really need to check this out again. It's interesting. I find it interesting, but yeah. Then you got the moon landing. Moon landing. The moon landing being fake. What do you think about this? Some people that are close to me really do believe that it was faked. There's definitely an incentive for it to be fake, you know? So it would be beating the Russians, right? Yeah, I don't believe it's fake. I really don't. Like, from what I've seen, I remember reading some fuck, I'm sorry about the sound. There was some evidence that people used, like, for example, the flag not moving. And I think they also took some photos of some footprints on the moon, or there were a couple other details. But it just doesn't seem right. Like, it doesn't seem right to me. I have to read more into it, but I really don't think it's fake. I don't think the moon landing was fake. Also, there was like this there was this video of, I think, was it Buzz Aldrin? I think it was Buzz Aldrin. I'm not sure who it was exactly. Let me just check out. I think it was Buzz Aldrin. Someone was saying that shouting at him that it was fake and whatever, and the guy punched the person shouting this. I think that's a very strong reaction for a person that, you know, supposedly was involved in making it look fake. I think that's a very, very extreme reaction. I need to check this out. I'm not sure if it was him or Neil Armstrong, but I think it was Buzz Aldrin. Yeah, I mean, of course, I would get quite mad, you know, if I believed that I put a lot of effort into something and I got recognized for this thing, and then someone's yelling at me that it's all bullshit and you did nothing, then I would explode and I would probably punch the guy. But if I was lying about it, I don't think my first reaction hearing that would be to punch someone, you know. Of course, they might be one step ahead and trying to make it look natural, but I don't know. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. Okay, but let's go into the more interesting ones here. So one of them, I didn't know about these ones. I actually checked them today. So one of them is Paul is dead. So Paul McCartney is dead. So let's see. Basically, there's this idea that the Paul McCartney that we know is not Paul McCartney. So there's a conspiracy that Paul McCartney actually died secretly in 1966. I'm reading this from the text. And so what the Beatles did is they completely covered up his death, and they found someone who looked like him, sang like him, and had the same kind of jovial personality, right? And what they say is that the Beatles then felt bad about it, and they started like putting references to Paul McCartney's death in the albums and the lyrics and whatever. And there's a couple of examples here. I don't know if it's worth mentioning them. Yeah, it's not worth mentioning them. You can look it up if you want to. But it's very interesting. So they just point out a lot of things. Like they even took a song and they played it backwards, and they said that it sounded like they were saying, Paul is dead, miss him, miss him. and they say that John Lennon mumbled, "I buried Paul," at the end of Strawberry Fields Forever. And John Lennon said it was actually cranberry sauce, but whatever. And there's a bunch of other stuff there. Like, what do I think about this? I think it's highly unlikely. I mean, they do have the incentive of wanting to replace Paul McCartney because they don't want to like lose any fans or whatever. But I don't know. I really don't believe it. I really don't believe they would pull that off. I think that's very weird. It's such a weird reaction. Let's cover up his death. Something so important. I really don't believe it. I don't know where this came from, really. Like, how did people get this idea? I have to look it up. There's one about Jesus and Mary Magdalene being married, but it's not very interesting. The CIA and AIDS. I think this was very popular in the past, but it's nothing special. It's just saying that AIDS was created to wipe out homosexuals and African Americans. Yeah. I don't know. I really doubt that. I really, really doubt that. But is it possible? Why? Like some kind of eugenics? I mean, I don't believe it. I mean, why would they? If it was some sort of eugenics or cleaning, cleaning mankind, that makes no sense, man. It really makes no sense. What did they think that? Did they think that people from other races wouldn't have unprotected sex either? Or interracial sex? I don't know. I think that's really stupid. It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. Like, it's just shooting yourself in the foot if it was true, because there's also a lot of closeted homosexuals, so they could just they could have sex with either gender. It's just shooting yourself in the foot if it's true. Like, I really doubt that that's true. Finally, this is the last one. I know I've been talking about this for a long time, but fuck it. I think it's entertaining. Next one is the reptilian elite. So this one's kind of funny because I know the memes that they make about Mark Zuckerberg, that he's a lizard person because he physically looks a little bit like a lizard, like his eyes and the way he looks. But yeah, essentially, there's not a lot of evidence here or text pointing at something, but they basically claiming that there are some blood drinking, flesh eating, shape shifting, extraterrestrial reptilian humanoids with only one objective in their cold-blooded little heads: to enslave the human race. They are our leaders, our corporate executives, our beloved Oscar-winning actors and Grammy-winning singers, and they're responsible for the Holocaust, the Oklahoma City bombings, and the 9/11 attacks. Yeah, forget this shit. This to me is just scrub talk, This is someone who's really butthurt that they never reached very far. Then they never became popular or whatever, and they're just mad that there are people that are better than them in some area, in some field. Yeah, it's just butthurt talk to me. This is scrub talk. But it's funny though, like actually believing in this. Yeah, enough about this. I don't want to talk about conspiracy theories anymore, but it is interesting, and I might pick it up later, possibly with a guest or when I've read a little bit more. I wanna discuss some more theories here in the future for sure. What was the second topic? The second topic was hobbies. I wanted to discuss hobbies, and I've talked about this with some people before. And I wanted to talk about like why and what make some hobbies socially acceptable and some not socially acceptable. And it's kind of hard to find, the factors behind it or the limits, right? So I got here a list of hobbies, and we can just talk a little bit about them. But first, let's go with intuition, right? So, I mean, well, if we look at the people around us, right? What is one of the most socially accepted hobbies out there? It's watching football, right? So you can, I want to rephrase this. One of the few hobbies that is socially accepted that you can be a massive fan of, like a huge fanatic of, is being a football fan, so a soccer fan. Like, that's completely fine, because a lot of people are like this. So the question is it considered socially acceptable because a lot of people are doing it? Is that enough of a factor to consider something socially acceptable? Because it is accepted, right? You can go completely crazy, People can hit each other and have fights, and we still think it's normal to be this much of a fan of football. I like football. I like watching the international games, not so much the club games, but yeah, it's weird. So football is considered completely fine, and then you have like cars, and cars are also considered to be completely fine. So guys, at least guys, I'm not talking about girls here because I don't know. I just want to talk about it from a guy's perspective, right? So cars, I know this sounded really sexist. Yeah, girls can also like cars and football too. Don't freak out on me. No, I mean like the stereotypically male hobbies. So cars are also socially acceptable. You can also obsess over cars, and no one will bat an eye. They'll just be like, yeah, that's fine. You can love cars, of course. Yeah, you can waste all your family savings on a new car. That's completely fine. Yeah, somehow these two are fine. So I guess, is it popularity, or is it because they're associated to a gender or something? I have no idea. I would say, like, my instinct says it's just popularity. So if a lot of people think that one thing is great, then that will be widely acceptable. But then again, you have, for example, pro gaming, right? Pro gaming, or watching people play video games, is becoming very popular, right? But it's still, actually it's insanely popular. A lot of people are doing it, but still regarded as kind of cringy by some people, or it's not as widely accepted as football, watching football. And is it because it's still not popular enough, or are there more factors behind it? Let me know what you think. My intuition tells me it's probably just an amount of people, maybe in the future, in 10 years, watching video games or playing video games will be less taboo. I mean, it's not taboo anymore, but I mean, like, it will be more accepted in the future. Although I wonder if it will be, even if it's more widespread, because there's a lot of people watching and playing games, and still not quite there yet. Something about that. Sports are completely fine. Anything sport related is completely fine. I can't think of a sport that is considered to be weird. I mean, of course there are weird sports, but I mean, from all the sports that I know, I can't think of a sport that would be like, ugh, that's fucking weird. I can't think of one. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to pick some hobbies here that I think are interesting to talk about. And I think we're like, one type of hobby that you can really see that it's weird, like the point where you draw the line, right, is collecting. So collectioners, right? There's a lot of people collect things. There's a lot of things that you can collect. But there are some things that you can't collect without being judged, negatively on. And there's a lot of things that are completely fine to collect, so you can think about it, like stamps are fine to collect, postcards are fine to collect, I don't know, like soda cans or the caps, those are fine to collect, shells are fine to collect. So you can have like massive collections of these, and people won't think you're weird. They just think like, oh, that's cool. He's a collectioner, I would say nowadays you can have a collection of video games. That's completely fine too. Like, people will just think you're a bit nerdy, but it's not perceived as negative per se, I would say. Um, and then when does it get weird? Um, well, if you have a collection of dolls, it starts getting a little weird. Like, why does this person have so many dolls? I mean, first of all, dolls can be really creepy, right? But also the collection of dolls and stuffed toys, right? If you have a collection of stuffed toys and dolls, it starts getting creepy. Is the factor that you're somehow perpetuating your childhood? But, I mean, come on, isn't soda caps also perpetuating your childhood? Or is it because these stuffed toys and these dolls, they represent humanity and they're just creepy in general? But yeah, if you went to someone's house and you saw a collection of dolls, you'd be freaked out, right? And then of course you have dead bugs. If you have a collection of dead bugs, everyone freaks the fuck out, dude. You don't wanna look at dead butterflies everywhere and shit. Yeah, it's not acceptable. And I was thinking, what other collections are weird to have? Are they all human related? Is that what makes something creepy? Because I guess if you have like a collection of, I don't know, mugs, that's still fine. Like completely inanimate objects that don't represent some animal or some living thing, I think that's accepted as fine, right? But if they have some kind of symbol or something that represents a living thing, then it becomes a bit creepy. I don't know why. But yeah, it's I don't know. People think that you're crazy, probably. They probably think that you're crazy. Taxidermy is super creepy, for example. Puppets, yeah, I mentioned puppets, right? Puppets are really, really creepy. Something about puppets, like it's like you're manipulating a small human, it's really creepy. I've got like a list here. I'm just looking, perusing. Where is this collection hobbies, right? Here you go. Comic books, that's fine, just a bit nerdy. Antiquities, also cool. That's fine. Fossils are cool. Yeah, but that's true. Like fossils represent some living thing, right? But they pass. But see, like insect collecting, this is what we were talking about. It's super creepy to collect insects. Yeah, you got the dolls here. Knives. Well, knives, it's weird. Knives, it really depends on the person, right? Because there's some people that like to collect weapons, and I think that's fine. I think it's quite cool. It really depends on the personality of the person, because the thing is, you can collect bugs, but even if you're a really cool person, if you have a collection of bugs, people are going to be like, something's wrong with this guy. He might be a serial killer. However, with the weapons, it really depends. Like, if you're a nice person and you seem like friendly and social, then yeah, it's cool. It's like weapons are cool. They're interesting. But if you're kind of awkward, then it's you never know if you should go to the same school as that person. What else is there? Perfume. Collecting perfume. It depends how many perfumes you have. Yeah, and there's a bunch of others here, but they're not very creepy. Ant keeping? Oh yeah. Some pets are creepy to have, like some people had those ant hills. That's strange, man. It's strange to have them. Maybe I'm too judgmental, but I think it's strange. If you go to someone's house and they have like a bunch of ants stored somewhere. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of insects in general. I think they're interesting, but if you collect insects, like I don't mean dead ones, I mean like collecting them. Not collecting, sorry, like you have pet insects. it's less creepy than the dead insect one, dead insect collecting, but I don't know, there's something odd about that. And then you have reptiles and amphibians, and I don't think that's creepy. I think that's more weird, but a bit creepy too. I don't know. I think when there's a slight element of danger, you start thinking whether or not, like, is this person okay? Yeah, and then mostly it's the collection hobbies that are weird, but there are some. I remember I was thinking about some hobbies. There are some hobbies that are not collection ones that are really strange. I can't remember right now. I can't remember, but yeah, that's all about. That's all I have about hobbies. I can't think of anything else. I knew I had something in my mind, but I just can't remember. Super weird. Yeah, my memory's fucking crap, dude. I got an app for this. I got an app to work on my memory. It's not helping, dude. It doesn't work. Like, I need to find something that will work on my long-term memory, you know? Like, maybe I just shut everything off. I don't know. I need to work on this. Okay, so let's go on to the third topic. And the third topic is quite explicit. So, mom and dad, if you're listening to this, please skip this one. The podcast is over for you guys. And anyone else who doesn't want to listen to explicit bullshit, then podcast is over. Thanks for listening. But I thought I would answer. I like answering. I like answering viewers' questions. So whatever they may be. So this is actually a common "would you rather" question. And let me just bring it back up. See if I don't forget anything. Okay. Yeah, so I apologize if it's very, very visual, but fuck it. Okay. I'll just say what I remember. So the question is, would you rather, as a male, right? So this is a question for guys. Would you rather not have any genitalia or have genitalia, but it's on your head? So both of your dick and your balls, they're on your head. What would you prefer? Right? And as an addition, I did ask some questions. How big are we talking? And he said average. And then he added that that I think your pubes would always be showing no matter what you're doing. And yeah, you can try to hide it. So you can put a hat on, or you can put some kind of thing to cover it. But that's about it. And then there's some other questions that I have, but I'm just going to assume here, it's a stupid question, but I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to assume that you have the same amount of testosterone in both cases, right? Otherwise, it would be complicated to pick the first option. So, okay, let's dissect this a little bit. So the first option, right? The first option is to not have any genitalia, right? So assuming that your testosterone levels are normal, you just don't have any genitalia, right? So the only sexual contact that you could have, and this would be supposedly necessary, right? If you are a standard guy with standard needs, and you're not like super religious or very conservative, you would have sexual needs, and the only way you can satisfy yourself is by either having someone touch your erogenous zones or you putting something up your ass. All right, and that's fine. I mean, if you like that, if you like putting shit up, if you like putting stuff up your ass, that's fine. If you're into that, that's completely fine. If you're gay, then it would be a non-issue, right? If you're a bottom, I guess, right? You could live with that. So you have the perks of not looking deformed, right? You look like a normal human being, but you just don't have a dick, right? So I think it depends, right? I think that option can be okay for certain people, and for other people it would be terrible. So you can, of course, you could have a partner and focus on the pleasure of your partner. And if you enjoy stuff up your ass, then you would be fine, you know. Otherwise, I think it would be a very, very frustrating experience, like very, very frustrating experience. I don't know if I would pick that option. Now let's talk about the second option. So the second option is you would have a dick and balls, but they're on your head. So completely functional. Oh, by the way, how would I pee in the first case? I guess I don't need to pee. Somehow it's not necessary. That could be a perk. If you don't need to pee, it could be somewhat of a perk. Not a big perk, but it is a perk. So in the second one, I guess everything works fine. It's just located on your head. Well, it would be really weird. You would definitely be insecure about that, right? But I guess over time you could maybe get used to it. And you could wear a hat, for example, in the winter to cover most of it. But in the summer you're screwed, right? What are you gonna do? Yeah, I mean, you could put a headband or something. But it's still strange, you know, it's still strange. And it would be difficult to have a partner that would be okay with that, I think. I'm not sure. Because, you know, it's quite odd. I think you could find a partner that would be into it or would be fine with it, but I think it would be complicated. While in the first one, you know, you can kind of compensate for the things that you lack. In the second one, I think you would always be very self-conscious about it. Maybe at some point you could work on it and it would get better. But yeah, I mean, at least you could you wouldn't be sexually frustrated though. If you found a partner that would be fine with that, then you'd be okay, you know, and you would get a very strong neck, a really strong neck. Maybe, you know, like a strong big neck on a guy looks good. So yeah, I don't know. I think the answer to this question, like what would I prefer, I think it depends on how old you are, or your condition, right? Like who you are a little bit. So I think as a young person, I would pick number 2. So the option of having a dick on my head. It would be embarrassing, but I think you would get used to it at some point and you could hide it. You would find strategies to hide it. You would, you know, find a way to tell the person that you're with and to show it and to figure a way around it, you know. It could open new doors for you. So I think it would be interesting in that sense. So as a young person, yeah. But of course, I mean, it's always there, you know, and it will always affect you a little bit. But I think, I don't know, it's hard to say if I would ever pick the first option. I would say that maybe when I'm older, like much older, I could pick the first option. Like if I was, let's say 65 or 70, I guess libido and testosterone in general won't really matter so much. So then I would maybe pick the first option. Also because I'm not caring anymore. Like you stop caring about a lot of things in life. That sounds really depressing, but yeah, you stop caring about a lot of things in life when you're older. So I think maybe I would pick the first option in that case, because then first I wouldn't pee myself all the time. I'm kidding. No, but yeah, you wouldn't have any incontinence issues, right? And I think you're just, yeah, you don't care about sex so much, and it would just be more practical to pick option number one. But option number two is the most likely. I think that's what guys would pick. I'm gonna make this claim. Yeah, I think that most guys would pick option two, because we also put a lot of. There's something about having a dick. It's very important for a guy. Like, we put a lot of our masculinities, like our pride, in having a dick. I think if you didn't have it, you would always be a little bit affected by it, even if you're, the more submissive or bottom type of person. I think you would always be affected by it. You always want Oh, sorry about that. You always want the option. So yeah, I would pick number two. In most of the so right now I would pick option two. When I'm like, if I was 70, then I would pick option one. What do you guys think? Let me know with your comments. Tell me what you think about all of this. What would you pick? Yeah, that's all I have for today. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And more content to come. So we will have one more podcast. And I have some topics already prepared for that. And then the next podcast, so the one after the next, sorry. So the podcast after the next one, we will have a guest. So it's a friend of mine from Sweden, and he will join us. And that will be very interesting. Yep, thanks for listening, guys, and talk to you soon.